Welcome to Panorama on Thanksgiving Day. We hope this day finds you well, and while you're spending the day with your family, we thought you'd like to get to know our family here at Channel 7 a little better. On our show, we're going to talk with some of the people you see every day and find out what their day is really like before they give us the news, the weather, the sports, and public service information. We'll go behind the scenes of News 7 at 6, show Panorama, and Morning with Irv Sharp and Kathy Winstel. Kathy, you're the first face that our viewers see on the Channel 7 air every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. But, you know, even I was surprised to find out what time your day starts here. I mean, you just don't get out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're here at 3 in the morning, right?
Working early, trying to be here and awake and go by 3.
Kathy, a few years ago, if someone said to you, now, Kathy, you're going to be working a shift from 3 in the morning until 11 in the morning, what would your reaction have been?
I would have said that they were crazy. There was no way, and that was just, I wouldn't work that kind of shift, and those aren't my kind of hours.
And here you are, right? Kathy, how did you get to Channel 7? How many years have you been in the broadcasting business before you showed up here with us in the Valley?
About 2.5 years. I've been working around the Valley a little bit in television and radio, and had been doing part-time weather up here on Sunday nights for about 6 months before I officially started full-time.
Get here at 3 o'clock in the morning. What's the first thing you do, Kathy? What do you
Grab
have to
a cup of coffee.
Right, I know that, right, that's number one.
Usually it's a matter of checking and see what's been left for me from the night before, what's been going on, how much time I have to work there, and routines around the Valley, the people who are those hours.
Kathy, what have you been checking for anything going on overnight? It sounds like you have a real day.
You come in at 3 o'clock in the morning and something is going on. Well, you know, in the newsroom, you're holding down the whole right. What do you do in that case, Kathy?
If it's something that's still going on and looks like it's going to be going on for a half an hour or so at least, it'll be a matter of calling a photographer in to get them to go out on location and so they can get some video back, hopefully in time for
7 o'clock. You have to, now they don't they don't sleep beside the bed.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to come here.
It's a matter of getting somebody. That's why I said it's something that's going to be lasting for at least a half an hour or so.
How many people approximately does it take to get the 7 o'clock broadcast on the air, Kathy?
There are about 6 crew people and 2 engineers who are here. 7 o'clock broadcast in the morning. Just so you don't panic, a real short weather, as in super short.
If you want me to panic, let me know.
Well, I've already checked the log and they're both commercial spots. Do you have the morning edits tape? Under the newspaper.
Do you still feel that you could hopefully keep on with your 3 o'clock in the morning?
I think I would really like at some point down the road, just for my own peace of mind, to be on what I would call a normal shift. At 8 o'clock in the morning, I would feel I was sleeping till noon at this time.
Are you a night person by
nature, definitely. If working, I would probably just not fool with the mornings. It's never been my I don't mind it working though, because I'm busy and going like the nights though.
Also on the morning show, there are Artie Levin and Irv Sharp. Artie was on vacation the day of shooting. We did get a chance to talk with Uncle Irv. Irv, is it really true? You told me that you were at your best at 5 o'clock in the morning, and from then on it's downhill. Is that true?
I've been getting up so early so long. Yeah, I really am. I'm wider awake and at my more or less best about 5 in the morning.
So you are a true morning person.
Have been all my life.
Have you really?
When I'm off on Saturday and Sunday, I still wake up and get up.
Do you really? Well, Irv, you know, you said it in all the years in broadcasting, you've been the one with the early morning shift. Do you think that's because you're a morning person and you just got into that slot?
I'm probably a morning person because I had to work the early morning shift. I get here at Channel 7 about 4 o'clock.
And there's a rumor going around that sometimes they can even hear you shaving in the hall.
That's true. I shave while I'm walking around. I have a razor that operates on batteries, so I shave while I'm doing my other work. If it wasn't, I wouldn't get it all done if I didn't.
So from 4 o'clock then to 7, when the time you go on the air, then you're probably pretty busy getting everything prepared for the day's show.
Yeah, to get the weather, you know, and sit down, sort of, you'll know what you're talking about. We get several letters every day requesting announcements. We go through all of those every morning, sort the ones that, for that day and for that week. And in other words, try to do them just 1 week at a time because there are so many. If we don't do them one day and 1 week at a time, everybody won't get a fair shake. So, and incidentally, on my letters, I try to treat everyone the same, Polly. If it's scribbled on a little piece of paper, or if it's a nice elaborate form letter, try to treat them all the same because they cared enough to send them in. So I try to give all of them the same amount of time.
You have guests, too, in the morning. Now, Herb,
every day.
Is it difficult for somebody to get here at 6:45 in the morning?
Some of the people, like some people are morning people, some are not. Some is difficult. Some get up early all the time.
7 a.m., though, Herb, you're probably, for a lot of people interviewing area, you're probably maybe their first touch with reality in the morning as they're getting up. How does that make you feel?
Well, yeah, some of them say, well, I've never been up this early before in my whole life, or I'm just not awake yet. Can we wait till I wake up? Well, there's no waiting when the 7 o'clock rolls around. So we all wake up together in a hurry. Morning on this Friday, November 6th. Temperature 51 outside, promises to be a good day. Let's give the forecast, which I forgot yesterday.
Stay with us. We'll be back in a minute to take a look behind the scenes of Panorama. In some respects, I feel a little bit like Kathy Winstel does, although my day starts a little later than her, thankfully. First thing I, too, in the morning is grab for the cup of coffee. I sometimes wonder if TV people could operate without a cup of coffee in their hands. It's also hard for me to believe that it's been 6 years that I've been doing Panorama. I remember when I first began the show, Kathy Thornton said to me, it'll be 6 months before you feel sort of like you know what you're doing, and it'll be at least a year before you feel really comfortable with it. And she was right on target with that. It took about a year before I really felt comfortable, and once I did, I think things began to ease up for me. The day is a little hectic, particularly my mornings. I guess that's the busiest time for me. As I said, the cup of coffee comes first. Then after the cup of coffee, I gather mail. Once that's over, I glance through a newspaper. I try to keep up on current events. And of course, the phone during the meantime is ringing off the hook, so there are many phone calls to answer. People, for some reason, seem to think that I have a staff of secretaries, or a makeup person and a hair person, and all these people take care of things for me and to do everything for me. But I'm afraid it's a one-person show here, and I have to hold the fort down, so to speak.
All right. Well, Cindy, well, I sure appreciate it, and I'm real anxious to see it anyway. Okay? Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, Lynchburg collection on the 9th.
I make out a format. It depends. If I have only one guest that day, I have to have 3 commercial breaks within the show. That has to be lined up. Some days I have 2 separate guests. Some days I have 3 separate guests. At that point in time, it's a little difficult because I only have 22 minutes on the show when we do take out for commercials. Sometimes it's a complicated show. Maybe we need a special setup. If it's a band, they have to bring in all their equipment. All of that has to be set up by our crew. They work very hard. They, too, work on a very tight schedule. I really don't get much of a chance to breathe till after the show, which is, of course, 12:30. And then the afternoon is usually spent lining up shows for weekday. That's one thing people have a hard time understanding is why I do book so far in advance, and usually I am booked about 7 to 8 weeks in advance. And I guess really the answer for that is I'm the only show for people to come on, and it's a pretty popular place to be. So I do have to be very careful about that, and that's why I do have to book so far in advance to make sure I have a well-balanced show so that hopefully that maybe any day of the week you might tune in something you'll like. I can't promise it'll be every day something you'll like, but hopefully 1 or 2 days out of that week you'll find something of interest. Yeah, we do our Lively Artist series, and a series going to be seen next year featuring regional museums. So these are day trips for us, and on these days I tape the show, so that will be a show you'll see on tape. But for the most part, Panorama is all live, and that's nothing I got to like about it. There's very little live TV anymore.
Here? Yeah. Turn around once here?
Yeah.
And then you walk off this way.
All right, between these
Between this camera and that camera right there.
All right.
I do my homework, but I think the most important thing about it is I genuinely love people, and over the years I've met many, many nice people, and I also learned a little bit about a lot of things, and it's funny how sometimes that will click in and I'll remember that somebody talked about this particular subject on Panorama. It could be anything from the best way to fry an egg, what to do for the common cold. But it's that kind of show, and I guess that's what I enjoy about it the most. Maybe Curtis Danny, my director, has a few other thoughts on that. Let's hear from him.
Working with Polly has been a lot of fun. She's, from the very first day she's come in there, it's she's brought something to the show, a vitality to the show that hasn't been there through the Ann Howards and the Kathy Thorntons. Part of the reason, I think, is Polly is not, she's not starstruck. Where she's the kid that enjoys going up and playing with farm animals, or she'll enjoy getting involved in the games and the things that are going there. She's as much enjoying learning about whatever the situation is. She enjoys it so much that she's not hard.
We'll be back right after this and have an inside look at the news with Keith Humphrey, Pat Kruger, and Bruce Edwards. It's 3:30 in the afternoon. That's Keith Humphrey preparing for the evening broadcast. Keith, I guess when I think about your job here in Channel 7, the anchor of our 6 o'clock news, the news that's most watched in this part of Southwest Virginia.
That's what they say.
I guess I would call you the man in the hot seat. Have you ever thought of the job as that way?
It's a privilege, I think, and I'm flattered to be in a position where I'm the one who most often gets to tell people what has happened in Southwest Virginia at 6 o'clock, and that more people watch it than watch the competition, if that's true. But it's, I guess the day-to-day pressure of being in the hot seat never really comes home to me. I'm not that much, if I were aware of that, I think it would drive me crazy.
Probably would, and give you ulcers and a few other things, probably a very short time. You came to us from Wilmington, Delaware, where you had been in Wilmington for, you said, what, about a year and a half in Wilmington or more?
No, I was there for more than 5 years.
Okay, so you were there for a long
I've gotten thoroughly entrenched in Wilmington, probably more so than most people in this business ever see in one place.
What did you do in your position in Wilmington? Were you anchor there?
I was an anchor for just about the entire 5.5 years. I had other ancillary jobs as well, but my principal job was anchoring the news.
What else did you do while you were in Wilmington?
I wound up, unhappily, as the news director as well, and doing all of that administrative work just didn't give me enough time to do journalism, and I was very unhappy there.
And that's what you want to do. Let's back up a little bit, because, you know, we see you at 6 o'clock. We see Keith Humphries. He's the man who delivers the news to us. But behind Keith are quite a few other people. Tell us who those people are and what some of those jobs are.
I suppose the first part of the day, John Witt, the assignment editor, has the most input as to what will be covered and what will be covered. Then, in the course of the day, Jim Kent, who was the most able predecessor of mine as a 6 o'clock anchor, as most of our viewers know, comes in. He is the executive producer of the newscast. And he comes in and starts getting a feel for what everybody is doing. At that point, he comes in early afternoon. Everyone else is out on the street, still putting together.
Beating the pavement, yeah.
And I try to be out there with them. I like to do a story a day at least. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm doing some research, setting up a story for later. Or sometimes I'm helping to coordinate back here what the other reporters are doing.
I mean, they just lost them in the shuffle.
She sent her bill in, and they sent it back saying, you're not a subscriber. She brings subscribers before you.
There are decisions to be made all day, all through the day before you even hit the air. It's
they may change right up until 6 o'clock.
Up until 6 o'clock. What's the latest change you've ever had pulled on you? Can you remember?
Well, it changes during while we're on the air many times.
A change can happen.
Yeah. Now that we have live capability, the microwave units, it's not so hard that you know, something is happening. Just the other night, there was a fire in South Roanoke that occurred about 5:30, and we were scrambling to get there and get information on it. We did have a crew on the scene. However, because it turned out to be a fatal fire and was killed, we did have pictures of the firefighter trying to revive this fellow. And we made the decision, or Jim Shaver, our news director, made the decision that the pictures were just too graphic to put on that fast without saying, let's stop and think about that. Is this the kind of thing we want to show our dinner time viewers at 6 o'clock live on television as this man is dying in their living rooms? Sometimes I think I've been on the side of pushing for a more ambitious, sticking our necks out kind of approach. But on the whole, I think I respect the decisions that are made around here to err on the side of caution and to do your homework before you go on the air, to get the story right, and to hold it if you don't have it, those kinds of things.
Do you think, too, that the viewer knows the difference?
I think so. I think the viewers in Southwest Virginia are remarkably sophisticated in that respect. I think they know, I get a subjective feeling anyway from being out on the street and talking to people, that some of them may not know exactly why they like what they see, but have a feeling of respect and confidence that they're getting the straight story. And I'm not saying that we don't make mistakes, but I think that we recognize our mistakes and we do our best to avoid them and correct them when they do make.
Are there ever times you look back on stories that you've done, and say since you've been here in Roanoke, you wish you had done them differently or could do them over again? Does that ever happen, or do you stay pretty satisfied that you did the good, solid job?
Oh, no, I don't think, personally, I'm never satisfied. I don't think any of us in this room are ever satisfied. I mean, we may come away with a darn good feeling that that was one of our better newscasts. And I may occasionally, once or twice, I guess I'll say, that was the best newscast we've done since such and such a date. But I don't think you ever excel to the point of saying it was perfect.
Stand by. Coming back on camera one.
The normal day for you, late start. Let's say I believe it was Kathy who comes in the morning at 3. Will you all show up in the afternoon right about that time, right? Is that when things get hopping for you at 3 o'clock? What happens first when you come in the door, Pat?
Well, first off, usually, depending on what time we get here, 2:30, 3 o'clock, whatever, first thing I usually do is go in and check all the mail. There's usually a bunch of press releases or something, and try and get that out of the way first. And I try and find out what we're going to be getting from the network that day as far as highlights go on the afternoon feed. And then check all the material that's come over the various AP and UPI wires.
You came this way to our area from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. How do you rate the activity, let's say, of the sports fans here as opposed to the ones in North Carolina? Are they as vocal in this area, Pat?
I think they are. My wife and I both agree this is probably the prettiest place we've ever lived in terms of the mountains. I myself have lived in 10 different states. She's now lived in 3, and all of them since we've been married. We met in Kansas when I worked at a TV station out there, and then we lived in North Carolina for 2 years, and now up here for just a little over a year. My wife comes from a small town in Kansas, Coffeyville, Kansas. Population about 15,000. The only claim to fame there is where the Dalton gang got shot up.
Oh, dear.
And her family, she's one of 13 children. I guess that's about their only 2 claims to fame.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was wondering how you would rate our sports fans here. Interest in it. Certainly there's a lot of interest in this area in sports.
There is. The people here have been very good. I appreciate their comments too, and they call me from time to time, tell me how they enjoy or don't enjoy what I'm doing. That's just as helpful, because you need that constructive criticism to improve. And so far we've been very happy here, and look for good things in the future.
Good. Now, Bruce, I don't suppose you ever get hate mail or pies thrown in your face or anything over a weather forecast. Would you like one of Pat's forecasts, perhaps?
Wrong, Auburn here,
lady.
Quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. People have the misconception, because we get on there and try to give the weather the best we know how, that we control the weather, which we don't. We don't like to take credit for the sunny, beautiful days, because we don't want to get blamed when it's snowing and everyone's iced in or something
miserable.
like that. But really, a lot of people do, and you take it with a grain of salt. Equate being a weatherman with being an umpire, because no matter which way you cut, someone is not going to be happy.
Right, somebody's going to be disappointed on that. People seem to really have an interest in the weather, and not only in this area, but as you said, what's going on in other parts of the country.
More and more so throughout the nation. People are becoming more aware. It used to be the old horse and buggy show where they bring out the puppet to do the weather the day, and that's the way it had, or I should say did progress until the early 70s, and you started to find more meteorologists moving in. People became more aware that the weather has an effect on them, not just the farmers, and that's their livelihood there, but construction industry people, swimming pool builders, anyone working in the outdoors is affected by the weather of some sort, and they're beginning to realize that it does indeed have a big effect on what they're doing, and they're becoming more interested and more knowledgeable.
And of course, we have the sophisticated equipment that we have today that certainly didn't exist some years ago with color radar, where you can really hone in on some of the special areas across the country and find out what's happening.
Through extreme southwestern Texas, temperatures slipping below the freezing mark. The orange area signifies temperatures above freezing, and that freezing temperatures and that freezing line is sliding across to the east. It's not going to make it to Roanoke, but we will be very close to that once again this morning. On the national map, the big weather maker is the low pressure cell in the frontal system. Rain cloud cover in eastern Virginia and rain along the Tidewater area, but for us to the west, we will have clear skies and all in all. Again tomorrow, we'll be back and take a look at the tri-state area forecast. We'll do 7 continues.
Okay, 50 seconds coming back.
Okay.
Stand by. Here we go.
Here's the line of clouds, Virginia.
Stand by.
I hope this gives you a little idea of our day here at Channel 7, but these aren't the only shows we produce. We have the 11 o'clock news, PM Magazine, Dialogue, all about women, Minority View, and Senior Scene, and I wish we had the time to explore them all. Tomorrow on Panorama is our monthly feature, The Lively Artists, and we'll meet sign painter Larry Colombo and miniaturist Kate Woods. Have a good afternoon, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Looks at what the survey found.
610 hitting that, Jim. Kiss it off quick. Charles, like 40 or so years old.
You have a 40-year-old survey.
What's the rate?
6. I heard him say it, and I saw him say it. Somebody did what, Turtle? Some evil